When you first met Jack, it actually looked like he got off of a horse, like he was a sheriff in an old Western movie. He kind of had this way of walking, but it was more of a confidence that he had than anything else. He came across a lot taller than actually he was. It was kind of funny because his two assistant principals towered over him, but his demeanor was such that he towered over us. My name is Basil, and I am one of the lucky ones. The first time I met Jack was at a teacher's appreciation social. He talked a little bit about his plans for being the principal of the school. What he was saying was so different from what we've been used to, because the first thing that he said is that he's going to move to town. It's like, I'm going to find a house in Ridgewood, and I want to have a big front porch where people could come and gather and meet me and meet my family. He was never happier than when he was sitting in his office being the principal of this school. He had that bounce when he was sitting where he would take his pencil and tap it on his tongue and would be writing something. And to me, he won the lottery when he decided to go into high school administration. It was on Spirit Days where he would outdress the students and the staff. He came in one day as a Harley-Davidson person and had on the leather jacket, and he had hair that came down, and we were going over to the administrative offices for the district. And I said to him, "Are you going to change?" And he says, "Why would I change?" And I said, "Because you're dressed in this outfit." And he said, "But it's Spirit Day. We have to stay in spirit with the students." His demeanor was always where it needed to be to get the job done, even though he may be in a full costume, actually. The takeaway I had from working with Jack and being on his leadership team was to be transparent. We had a number of issues at a dance one night where there was drinking. It's a Friday evening, midnight. Jack was like, "Meet me at my house. We have some work to do. We have to write to the community. We have to write a letter, explain what happened tonight." And I was thinking, can't they wait till tomorrow? And he says, "You don't wait. You get it out there first." What happened? That was his leadership style, was to be as transparent as he could be. He got us as a leadership team, and then the school in general, very involved in the community, because he felt that the school was the center of the community. I mean, we're in this room right here. The Learning Commons of Ridgewood High School was his dream. And so we got the support of our parent community and town organizations to create this space. And then he took some pretty bold steps. Didn't always equate to good relationships with the higher ups, but his school was his priority. On Jack's first official day, we took a tour of the campus. The front of the building from the main road, looked fantastic, but when you drove around back, it really was an eyesore. And so he took pictures from houses of what we look like from their vantage point and used those to request that the Board of Education address that. Now it's beautiful over there. Back to school night, parents in the building, he would apologize for the leaking roofs, why there's buckets in the classrooms. He felt we were at the tipping point where the building was in such shape that it needed to have a lot of work done to it. Some people felt, why are we airing this out in the public? And he said, because we need to have people start supporting changing that. Probably the number one way that I stay connected with Jack is through my children. I mean, certainly Jack comes out in my thoughts all the time in terms of education, but he comes up most often when my kids say they miss him. And my kids are still pretty young. My oldest son is 13 years old, and Jack has been gone from Ridgewood for 6 years. They still bring him up quite often. My son would come in from kindergarten, and Jack would ask him, is it a thumbs up day or a thumbs down day? And my son still brings that up today. When I heard of his passing, it just brought back the Jack that we knew and worked with, and all those feelings of sadness that somebody like him is gone. Our current principal didn't get the joy to know Jack, but oftentimes says, "I heard that Jack did this or did that. Can you tell me more about that?" So it's kind of neat that the current principal is learning from Jack. That's a real nice tribute to Jack. My biggest takeaway from Jack was passion. Working with young people and helping to raise them. It's not just about the academics. It's not just about getting kids into college. It's about that they become better people. What Jack did for me is see where my strength was in terms of working with students and the things that I could bring to the table, and then making that work for him as a leader, to me was just incredible. And I couldn't ask for anything more than that.